Okay, today we will be discussing the topic of digital inheritance, or more simply, the legal, social, and ethical challenges of managing digital assets after death. Quick agenda, we'll start with a discussion on the background and significance of this issue, followed by an analysis of the legal, social, and ethical challenges. Finally, we will compare how the United States handles this issue compared to other areas such as the European Union and India. As digital technology advances, managing digital assets post-mortem or after death becomes crucial. This involves legal, social, and ethical challenges. From March 2024 to the end of 2029, the number of individuals with access to the internet is expected to increase from 5.35 billion, or 65% of the world's population, to 7.9 billion, or 92% of the expected population at the end of 2029. Along with this increase in population comes an increase in the data that population is storing. From 2020 to 2024, the amount of data the world used increased from 64.2 to 147 zettabytes. Just to put that into perspective, 1 zettabyte equals 1 billion terabytes. Also, an interesting article from 2019 estimated that within the next 50 years, the amount of Facebook profiles attributed to deceased users will surpass the amount of living profiles on that platform. Focused on tangible assets. For example, you die in your house, cash and other physical stuff is distributed based off of what's in your will. With digital assets emerging, new legal frameworks are needed. The United States has led the efforts to address digital inheritance as one of the first countries to publish a framework in 2015. Digital inheritance is crucial in our modern society. Digital assets like cryptocurrency and social media accounts can be as valuable as physical assets. For example, the global cryptocurrency market is worth, as of November 2024, $3.11 trillion. For other digital assets such as photos and social media, for many those items and accounts are synonymous with private personal property. So it becomes important how those things are handled after death. Proper systems are needed to transfer these assets to avoid financial losses, legal issues, and to protect sentimental value. Within the United States, as mentioned before, there is a framework that was introduced in 2015 named the Revised Uniform Fiduciary Access to Digital Assets Act. A little bit of a tongue twister, but RUFADAA is the framework that addresses legal challenges in digital inheritance by defining digital assets and providing guidelines for fiduciaries. It clarifies ownership and access and attempts to protect privacy of the deceased by prohibiting access to electronic communications without prior consent. However, privacy concerns still remain due to the narrow scope of protection. Within the United States, this act currently has been adopted by 49 out of the 52 current U.S. States and territories. As stated back in 2015, this was introduced as a framework. However, it was up to the individual states to adopt this into their state legislations. Before this act, ownership of digital assets was unclear. Often, it was restricted by service providers' terms and conditions. This act clarifies ownership and protects privacy and offers legal protection with a few exceptions. So, for example, executors can't access electronic communications unless consented by the deceased. Meaning you can go and access publicly available posts or things on forums, but you will not have access to private messages between people. So memorialization in the digital age. This is a pretty recent phenomenon. One of the biggest examples is in 2013, Facebook and Instagram began launching these the service for called memorial profiles, where essentially after death, your account can be transitioned to someone else to manage, and you would have delegated access, where essentially those profiles become a digital memorialized forum that lives forever. Also, an even more recent development is the advent of generative AI enabled bots that can take on the persona of a deceased person, or even more futuristic is newer technology which uses deepfake technology to recreate the likeness of someone, where post-death you can not only remember someone, but go and have a full-on conversation and interact with them. On the next slide, I will show you a recent news story which gives an example of a recent company that's doing just that.
Imagine having a conversation with your loved ones after they've passed away. Well, now you can.
How did becoming a grandparent change you?
It brought immense joy into my life.
But instead of going through a psychic medium, people are getting a helping hand from artificial intelligence.
This is the authentic you. This is the video that you created, and now you're making that accessible by means of conversation for the future.
Stephen Smith is the founder and CEO of StoryFile, a program using state-of-the-art AI technology to help people connect with their relatives and friends even after they've departed.
100 years from now, and you're the great-great-great-grandparent of this person who wants to know who you are.
StoryFile lets anyone digitally record their answers to dozens of questions, which are then loaded into the program. Artificial intelligence does the rest, searching the archive of answers and playing the correct response when asked a question.
What was your hometown like?
It's so small compared to the bustling place of England.
Smith had his own mother complete a StoryFile session before her passing back in June, and maintains the AI software never falsifies a person's responses.
We do use artificial intelligence, but it's not for creating new content or putting words into your mouth.
Meanwhile, StoryFile can also be used for the living. Officials say the original idea was to let people learn more about historical figures' real-life stories, including those of 9/11 survivors. Jackie Ibanez, Fox News. Imagine having a conversation with your loved ones after they've passed away. Well, now you can.
How did becoming a grandparent change you?
It brought immense joy into my life.
But instead of going through a psychic medium, people are getting a helping hand from artificial intelligence.
This is the authentic you. This is the video that you created, and now you're making that accessible by means of conversation for the future.
Stephen Smith is the founder and CEO of StoryFile, a program using state-of-the-art AI technology to help people connect with their relatives and friends even after they've departed.
100 years from now, and you're the great-great-great-grandparent of this person who wants to know who you are.
StoryFile lets anyone digitally record their answers to dozens of questions, which are then loaded into the program. Artificial intelligence does the rest, searching the archive of answers and playing the correct response when asked a question.
What was your hometown like?
It's so small compared to the bustling place of England.
Smith had his own mother complete a StoryFile session before her passing back in June, and maintains the AI software never falsifies a person's responses.
We do use artificial intelligence, but it's not for creating new content or putting words into your mouth.
Meanwhile, StoryFile can also be used for the living. Officials say the original idea was to let people learn more about historical figures' real-life stories, including those of 9/11 survivors. Jackie Ibanez, Fox News.
The emotional impact on families includes navigating not only what we would consider, previous digital debt, such as photos and other items, but now with the advent of these AI chatbots, you have to contend with this new interactive way of mourning, which many researchers in psychology believe that this actually prolongs grief if not used correctly. Digital inheritance raises ethical issues like consent, autonomy, and privacy. Deontology, the deontology ethical framework emphasizes privacy, creating conflicts in accessing deceased accounts. Consent is crucial in digital inheritance. Ethical dilemmas arise due to lack of guidance. A 2020 case of a mother using VR to interact with her deceased daughter highlights these issues. That event raised significant ethical concerns regarding consent of the deceased daughter to be reanimated post-mortem and potentially the exploitation of the mother's grief. Ethical frameworks like utilitarianism and deontology fail to provide clear conclusions when used independently, and sometimes even when used together. Emerging technologies like posthumous AI resurrection and generative AI models raise ethical concerns. These include recreating deceased individuals' likeness and voices. And examples would be the recent Tupac Coachella performance. Who authorized that and who benefited financially? Also, there is the potential to misrepresent the deceased beliefs, thus affecting their legacy. Ethical considerations focus on consent, privacy, and the rights of the deceased. Digital inheritance laws vary across EU member states. Privacy frameworks like GDPR only protect the living, and some countries like Estonia and Italy are already implementing frameworks, while others, such as the Netherlands, use their existing general inheritance laws to cover digital assets. Yet still, there are some others, such as Croatia, where digital assets currently are non-inheritable.
India's technological legal framework, similar to the European Union, serves the living but lacks provisions for the deceased. Issues are addressed by defaulting to physical asset allocation methods.
Managing digital assets post-death involves legal, social, and ethical issues. Current frameworks offer some guidance, but are ambiguous. AI models adds complexity. Legislative reform is needed to address growing digital inheritance issues, requiring comprehensive laws and a societal shift to treat digital assets like tangible ones. Managing digital assets post-death involves legal, social, and ethical issues. Current frameworks offer some guidance, but are ambiguous.
As our digital footprint grows, so do issues with digital inheritance. We need strong frameworks and legislation to remove ambiguity. Comprehensive, uniform laws are required worldwide, and society must treat digital assets like tangible ones, meaning there should be a plan for each individual's personal preference on how to handle their digital assets as they would their tangible ones. Individuals should state their post-death asset intentions as well.